The 5 critical things that you must do in order to make sure your business is properly established. Let's get started. My name is Brian Otieno. I'm one of the founders of Pantech Consulting Group, and thank you for joining me today. On today's topic, we're going to talk about the 5 key things that you need in order to make sure your business is properly established. Let's get started. I actually just got off the phone with one of my potential clients that I'm working with right now, which actually is the reason I started and wanted to make this video. This client has been in the painting industry for over 25 years, and his vision and dream is to eventually, if he passes on, to go ahead and leave his business for his kids. Now, the reason I wanted to make this video is I started asking him a few questions about his business. I started asking him how much money the business make, what the current structure is of the business. He later on told me that he's working as a sole proprietor. All of the funds that the business makes goes under his sole proprietor account, and he just simply filed taxes under his own name. I later on asked him, do you have a website? He did not have a website. I asked him, do you have a client management system? He went ahead and expressed to me that he does not have a client management system. And I was appalled when I heard all of this. So I wanted to know, how are you managing your clients? How are you managing your business? And the bigger question here is, you've been working on this business for 25 years, and you just expressed to me that your vision and your dream is to go ahead and hand this business off to your kids. I mean, what are you going to do? You're going to hand them off your phone? That doesn't make any sense. So anyway, again, as I said, that is what started and kind of got me to make this video. And I wanted to cover the 5 critical, essential things that you need in order to make sure your business is properly set up. So pay attention here. Let's get started. So number 1, you must have a business registered with the state. That's the most important thing. And what I want to do in this video is I want to make sure that I explain this where it makes sense, so I don't complicate anything. And the best way to do that is to make it relate to you personally. So now, whenever you got born, your parents went ahead and applied for a birth certificate with the state, and you received a birth certificate. And later on, your parents went ahead and applied for your social security number, which is with the Social Security Office, which is a federal agency. So now, let's take that same example and duplicate that into the business. Whenever you form a business, you go to the state and you fill out an articles of incorporation. And there's different forms of a corporation that you can form. You can have an LLC, which stands for Limited Liability Corporation. You can have a C corporation. You can have an S corporation. There's different forms of a corporation that you can form. Now, I am not a legal attorney, and I definitely am not your attorney. So you should seek legal advice, but I will tell you what I form, and majority of my clients generally, the best structure that I found that pretty much falls around majority of businesses out there is an LLC, which stands for a Limited Liability Company. This protects you from most of the majority of the reasons why you'd want to form an LLC, as far as from liabilities and separation, as far as from you and the corporation itself, where you two, the corporation and you, become 2 separate entities. So an LLC is generally the most common structure that is used, but again, you do want to seek some legal advice if you do need so. So that's number 1, and the first critical step that you need to do in order to have a legal corporation is to register with the state. So that's first. Just like your parents registered you with the birth records and got your birth certificate, you need to get your article of incorporation with the state. So that's step number 1. Step number 2 is to get an EIN number. It stands for an employee identification number. And again, very similar to a social security number. An employee identification number is used to identify that corporation. So this is an identification number that you can use just like you use your social security number. You can use it to open up bank accounts. You can also use it to potentially get funding in the future. And that is why I was so shocked when I was speaking to my clients, because the way he structured his business basically eliminated him from getting all these funding that was available for business, because he was not a legitimate business. He was doing everything under his personal name. And majority of people that I've noticed that I've talked to in the past do this. They just work under a sole proprietor. And what that does is, again, it limits you, number 1, the legal liabilities that you're taking by not having a legal corporation. And number 2, we're talking about all the funding that you lock yourself from by not having a legal corporation, getting an employee number, an EIN number, and also having a legal corporation formed with the state. So that's number 2. So that's the second thing that you need to do. So number 1, you form a corporation with the state. Number 2, you get an EIN number with the IRS assigned to your corporation. Number 3, you need to go and open up a business bank account. This must be a separate bank account from your personal bank account. It is critically important not to do what we call commingling of funds. You personally do not need to mix your personal funds with the business funds. And this goes even beyond just a bank account, as we're going to talk about here in just a second. Since we formed a legal corporation with the state, and we also got an EIN number, which is basically is going to act as your social security number, now you can go out there and actually establish business credit. There's actually another video that I've made on this channel that I talk about how a startup business or even a new business can establish business credit. Be it vendor lines, business credit lines, fleet cards, there is funding available for you as a new established business. I just do want to point that out there. So after establishing the bank account, you want to do the fourth thing, which is to go ahead and establish a merchant processing account. This is critically important because you're not going to be able to accept credit cards until you have a merchant account. Let's just summarize so we'll make sure we're on the same page. Number 1, you register with the state. Number 2, you register with the IRS, which is the federal government. Number 3, you get a business checking account. You must make sure it's a business checking account open under your business name. Number 4, you go ahead and get a business merchant account. It will give you the ability for your business to process and accept credit cards. And if you do want to accept any kind of checks as well, that merchant account will give you the ability to do that. In addition to that, now that you have a business checking account and you have a business merchant account, you having transactions that's being recorded for your business, and you're opening yourself up for having an option for you to get business funding using this income that you're generating, be it from the merchant account or even the checking account. So now, that's step number 4. Now, step number 5 is to now expose your business. And this is what we're talking about. You must have a business website. This is critical, especially today in day and age. Every business, regardless of what type of business you're in, must have a business website. So these are the 5 critical things that if you want to create a business, a legitimate business that you want to leave maybe for your future generations, or to create a legacy. Because majority of business owners, this is one of the reasons why I started my business, is because I wanted to create a legacy, not just for me, myself, but also to have something for my children as well. Now I have something that is legitimate, something that if I pass away, since I'm not a sole proprietor, it just doesn't end with me. This is something that they can carry on, and their kids can carry on. And it's set up correctly where even if I want to take on any kind of business investors, or if somebody wants to take a look at some of my business documents, it's not connected to me personally. So I just want to kind of summarize there the 5 critical things that every business must have in order for you to be considered as a legitimate business. Number 1, you must be registered with the state. Number 2, you must be registered with the federal government and you receive an employee identification number. Number 3, you must have a business checking account. If you want to, you can also open up a business savings account. And number 4, you need to go ahead and open up a merchant account so you can be able to have an ability to process credit cards. We do not live in a day and age where everybody just pays with cash. And especially today, majority of your payments, majority of your clients will be paying you with credit cards. Some of them will want to pay you with checks. Again, you do need the ability in order to process those transactions instantly. And then number 5, you need to focus on your exposure. I speak very highly about this. And of course, that starts off with getting a website, getting a logo, maybe getting a Facebook page as well, and getting some ads put out there. But exposure is critical as it pertains to your business as well. Anyway, I do appreciate you for joining me today. If you like some of this content, of course, do give me a like. Do subscribe to the channel. There's going to be more of this type of content that's going to be coming up. And if you have any ideas as to what you would like us to talk about in the next video, please let me know in the comments below. And lastly, 3 paths of lending. I've written a book, a free book that I want to give you. I talk about the 3 different paths that are available and how you can get business capital. Literally, tell everybody, anybody that listens to me, to challenge me. There's only 3 ways in how you can get money for your business. Either based on your credit, either based on your income, or either based on assets. I cover all these 3 paths. I talk about the minimum criteria required, everything that you need to know in order to qualify for your business. You definitely want to grab that book, and it's free. It doesn't cost you anything at all. So click the link below, grab that book, and I always say we run one of the best entrepreneurs incubators in the country. We help entrepreneurs just like yourself quickly start, grow, and expand their businesses by offering them all the resources that's needed in order to get their business up and going. So I appreciate you for joining me today, and I'll definitely see you on the next video.